Like Paulo went first and passed.
Yeah, that is the classic Kashtira, right? It's so powerful, but sometimes you just don't see a monster. And then what are you supposed to do?
Yep, no, Unicorn is it too. You could really use that third one.
That's what the other
But
two
it looks like
games are
Lucas
for,
is going to start
by
his
the
turn
way.
off by normal summoning Purrley. Purrley on summons going to let you excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can add a Purrley spell card from the speller trap from the top of your deck to your hand.
It looks like Paul's really considering his options here. He doesn't want to let Lucas just generate advantage so quickly. I wonder if he's just going to chain the shifter here, or if he's going to use something along the lines of impermanence. Oh, he's chaining the shifter here.
Yeah, so Dimension Shifter, not bad against Purrley, not debilitating. They can still play, but it's going to like cut off some of their options of filling up their graveyard. Gets that follow-up from my friend Purrley, adding back from the graveyard out of the way. Can't attach a material from like the quick play to Purrley. There's definitely some advantages to it, but he's also going to change that effect Veiler. Effect negation really strong against Purrley, being able to, because they also use their effects not only to excavate, but to you unlock the extra deck and use an Exceed Summon. They have to use their effect to Exceed Summon from the hand. So effect negation, one of the ways to target Purrley pretty well.
Yeah, Effect Veiler is pretty desperate on something along the lines of Purrley because Purrley itself, not once per turn, at as many copies of Purrley that you can summon onto the field, you'll be able to trigger that effect again and again.
Yep.
But, I mean, in the situation, he had to chain the shifter first, otherwise Effect Veiler would be going to the graveyard and shifter wouldn't be usable for the remainder of the game. So, Paulo kind of in a desperate situation here. We're going to really hope that this, I believe that's Pretty Memory?
Yep, that is Pretty Memory. It's going to activate it. So both players are going to gain 1,000 life points.
And there's an Ash Blossom. Pretty Memory. Like, none of the Purrley cards are costs here to discard a card, so that's always beneficial. So,
Yep, just part of the effect.
Just confirming some things here real quick. Making sure there's communication. Always important in this stage of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you commit to the effect Veiler on the normal summon to Purrley, you have to ash the next quick play spell they have. Just hope they don't have another one. Yep, and it looks like he's going to battle phase and just going to attack for, what is it, like 100?
Yeah.
A little small, but...
I like this play because, I mean, he already bricked. He just went like, what, -2 to the Purrley and then the Ash on the quick play. The Book of Moon answers any top deck he could have. Unless he had Lance, then we might have been in trouble even though we have the Ash. But it definitely would have been like scarier, but I don't think it's worth the Book of Moon in response to the Veiler with the White Cat because it's just like trying to trade one for ones. But it would have let us play, so yeah, it's the only chance he would have had is if he had Ash. So I think that was a great play. Then obviously we're just gonna see more hand traps.
Be face down, he's still going to be able to resolve and add.
Probably my friend Purrley at this point, right?
Yeah, it has to be my friend. My friend Purrley, even though he can't add that quick play spell, it can add my friend Purrley, which reveals 3 quick plays if you want, and gets to add one to your hand at the cost of 500 life points.
Is it a cost, really? Are you? How upset are you?
I mean, with time winding down, you could get pretty upset if you have to pay that 500. But
I don't know if you're looking at the clock here, but I think they got 45 minutes to go.
indeed, it looks like that's not going to be the case here in game number 1 of our top 16. Everything comes with a cost. It's just whether you're willing to pay it. It looks like he's thinking about Stray Purrley Street. Nope, he's going for Happy Memory.
Yeah, I think he wants. Lucas is trying to generate as much advantage as he can right now. Being able to add any one of these because he was able to reveal 3 copies, he's going to be able to add one straight to the hand, guaranteeing it. Purrley's already on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we just add the Happy here to get the Delicious, the 1-of out of our deck, and then we're going to make a Noir. Noir with the Ash is definitely going to be game. I mean, Noir in general is just game.
So he's going to be using the Purrley's effect here, going to be using that Happy Memory from the hand, go straight into Purrley Happiness.
Yeah, Happiness when you have your battle phase is one that the Purrley players are always going to be looking for. As when it attacks, you're able to add another Purrley quick play from your deck to your hands. Really good way to amass some advantage and attack for game over your opponent's monsters. But it looks like Paulo's seen enough. He knows he's not going to be able to come back. He doesn't have any starters, and he's going to be able to, even if he draws into something like Unicorn, he's going to be facing down a Noir probably with multiple materials. And that's going to be it.
You know, I thought Paulo was really playing around the Happiness because, you know, Happiness has to attack monsters multiple times, right? So it was only one hit directly, but it doesn't seem like that's the case this time. But, you know, if you do run into that situation where you're not drawing that hand that allows you to play, you know, especially if you're going first, it feels really unlucky, but this is a 3v3, right? If Paulo gets unlucky, his teammates could just be much luckier, and he's not necessarily down and out just because of his own match.
Yeah, that's really good to point out. Just that being on a team YCS, it's so drastically different. Yeah, I mean, you can always do that when you're down like game one. You're like, oh, I still have 2 games to go. But having those other games also on the back burner there definitely.
He wasn't actually. I don't think he actually was able to get to Noir because if he makes plump without another quick play, unless he gets lucky off like a white cat, um, he can't do it because you need another quick play plus 2 spells and traps to make Noir with the delicious memory. So I mean, he probably just grabs trap though. He has 2 materials at least on the happy, and that's still game because that's still Noir into inevitably Zeus. So what can you do? He just bricks.
Kashtira basically because being able to play into a Kashtira mirror match board with stuff like enemy controller and stuff was a great way to fight back into a game. So Kashtira definitely good at going first and second. Sometimes we just saw what happens when you go first. Sometimes no unicorn, no pot of prosperity, no way to really get to anything that you need, no pressure planet. But I think I think maybe a lot of viewers are happy about that. They're like, yeah, good. You're playing Kashtira and you didn't draw anything good.
Yeah, deserved.
Deserved. Yeah. That's sometimes the case, but it's a strong deck. In every format, there's always a strong deck that's a deck to beat. At least you have something you can like when you're building your deck, something to focus on, something to think about as you're constructing your deck. Well, how am I going to deal with the Rise Heart? I'm going to need Book of Moons. I'm going to need Book of Eclipse. I'm going to need Infinite Permanence. Like those are cards you can always look to play to help you in those tough matchups.
Which also is kind of why I feel like Purrley's been getting less and less popular as this format's really developed. It's gotten significantly stronger since the release of Duelist Nexus. It got Purrley Noir. Now, but that everyone is just playing some copy of Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse, maybe like just these varying cards that people are generally using for Kashtira that double up really well against Purrley.
Yeah, the books especially. Yeah.
So I think these are cards that are just guaranteed in either of these decks, and it just really takes away from Purrley's advantage, especially if you do have to rely on that Purrley Noir to just generate all your advantage. But I think is that something that happens post-side as often? Because Paulo, if he chooses to go first again, he also has potentially access to Dimensional Barrier, which is a really popular card in this format. Like, not even just for Purrley at this point, because Chimera is so strong. Like, there are so many decks that are using Branded Fusion, there might as well be Dimensional Barrier somewhere in your deck.
Yeah, Barrier is a huge. I think going in this weekend, a huge one. A lot of people are going to be including 3 of that in the side deck because, as you mentioned, just widespread coverage there for the format. And yeah, it's probably the best card against Purrley going first. Going second, I like Xyz's Encore against Purrley a lot. I think that's the best way to deal with it. Yeah, if they have My Friend, they're still going to be able to add back and everything. But it makes sure they don't get any draws, and you can deal with the monster before it gets to Noir.
Yeah, I mean, this dude has D Barrier. I saw D Barrier Ash, so it's like if he has any Kashtira, this is just completely game, I would say. I mean, he just D Barrier, any starter, we're lit. Oh, yes, Shifter.
I want to have for Unchained, but we'll have to see. And it looks like Paulo is going to start with Dimension Shifter on his turn, so maybe he has some plays now. Looks like already
good enough. That's perfect.
That's the best one. Kashtira Unicorn is going to get everything started.
Are you okay with me giving you a little spoiler, Billy?
Sure.
There's a barrier in his hand.
Okay, nice. I didn't know. I didn't know you were spoiling the whole game for me. But it's okay. Lucas could have cited Crossout Designator with the barrier. That's something also that's risen a lot of popularity in side decks is Crossout Designator because a lot of decks like Monadium even have to cross out Dimension Barrier. I could see it happening even in Purrley.
Yeah, I think because barrier is a card, you just have to play something along the lines of that because there's nothing else that can really deal with it anymore.
It's tough.
And I think that's one of the issues with Purrley, why it's not necessarily my favorite pick in the format right now, is because when you're targeted, there's not a lot you can do about the things that people are doing for you, right? If people are going to be barriering you, or they're going to be using a number of Book of Moons, there's not so much you can do to really play around it. You can try to make a Noir on your turn 1, but that's not the easiest thing to do, right?
It's not. Yeah.
Delicious Memory's at 1. So it's it's really kind of a struggle to get that many spells up on the first turn. And then sometimes you just run into this position where, Kashtira goes first and they summon Unicorn.
Yep. And they did summon that Unicorn, added Kashtira Theosis. Kashtira Theosis banished, or summoned Fenrir to the hand, and then it looks like he added, I assume it was Rise Heart, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I wonder how much Paulo is trying to commit here. He's already, I assume this is what was going to happen. He's just going to leave these monsters on the field, generate more advantage, because what does he have to do? He's already under Shifter. There's no reason to commit into anything, a potential Nibiru. He, again, spoiler, he did draw a Dimensional Barrier. He doesn't really have to commit anything.
Oh, it makes sense if you have Barrier. You don't want to go into an Xyz monster against when you're calling Xyz
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was going to say.
That makes a lot of sense. This is the other reason why Kashtira is so good. You can just leave up the monsters, and they're pretty formidable to deal with on their own.
Yeah, we constantly reference how the Kashtira deck is really similar to decks from olden times, such as Dino Rabbit, right? But I think the individual Kashtira monsters are a lot stronger than a potential Saber Source, where you would actively choose to just leave these monsters on the field.
Hey, Sabersaurus is pretty strong, all right? In Cobblezoles, but here we go with Purrley. Purrley's going to excavate if he's going to at least attempt to.
I imagine Paul's not really going to do anything to this initial activation. He might end up using I feel like he just isn't going to even use Fenrir because he wants to play around especially look at that, right? There's immediately a triple tactics talents revealed off the top. So Paulo knows that this is a card that's in Lucas's strategy. It's potentially in his hand. I don't think he wants to even allow it to be live and use the Fenrir because he has the Shifter live. He has a potential barrier to cut off any real threat that Lucas can do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Definitely to an extent. It's really weird that he chooses to use both effects here. Uh, he also does the chain links in the wrong order, considering the ritual card is it's played in Purrley, so you definitely did technically do these in the wrong order. There's no reason I don't think to not make the unicorn chain link too. Um, obviously none of this matters. We have D shifter, we have barrier, so yeah, I don't know. And we see his hand is Yeep, Book of Moon, so it's really nothing.
Down, it makes a pretty big difference. You can only have so many copies that you can get back from the deck off of these additional activations of the Purrley Quick Play spells. If you run out, it's pretty long gone.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I know I talked to some players at the NAWCQ, and they were like, oh, no, the Rise Heart banished the two Purrleys off the top of my deck, and they were done for. Sometimes unlucky.
All right, looks like Paulo's going to go after the extra deck here. This is like one of those things that you don't really think about as often anymore. Now that, it's not something that Kashtira is initially doing every turn one, they're going to look at your extra deck, try to get rid of a card. You're not really playing like multiples of cards just for Kashtira so that they don't have the ability to just immediately rip it apart.
I kind of disagree with that. I still think we're definitely playing two Zeus because of Kashtira specifically. And any deck that can play XYZ is like Kashtira plays two Zeus, right? Purrley plays two Zeus.
Now, Sleepy Memory is going to be activated here from Lucas. Next damage you take will be 0, but then he can discard to special summon. Purrley's going to get banished.
Every single activation of these cards in this position is so expensive, right? You're not able to recur those effects from the graveyard. You really just lose out on the value that you get from My Friend Purrley, the value that you get from any additional big Purrley monster, because you're not able to attach from the graveyard. So if you were able to get to something along the lines of Plump, you're just not getting anywhere.
Yeah, and we know that barrier just laying in the weights is going to spell disaster here from Lucas. I don't think I saw anything in his hand that's going to be able to counter that.
Yeah.
Paulo focused in on the game, though.
Yeah, Paulo ideally just doesn't need to, if he doesn't have to flip the barrier, he's going to choose not to at this point. If he just is able to really just hold out with just these two monsters and the power of just Shifter by itself, I think that's good enough for him. And then the Dimensional Barrier is way more powerful on turn 3.
If it wasn't good before, it's definitely good then, yeah. That could be the case. We'll have to see. He does add My Friend off of Purrley. Activates the My Friend. Pays 500. So it's gonna.
There's another Ash Blossom. What? Oh, well, yeah. My Friend does stay on the field here. Luke is not super excited about that. I don't know if he has any really useful effects in the hand, because he used a Sleepy Memory already. So yeah, no, it looks like he's going to go into a rank 1 here.
Has to be the Sylvan, right? Sylvan. Oh, Slacker
Slacker
Magician.
Magician,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Try to go into a Zeus play here. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. That's kind of like Purrley's backup plan. When all else fails, try and get as big of a Zeus as you can. It's funny just thinking about little tiny cats with some giant space Zeus man mech suit.
How quickly the evolution.
They figured out technology. They're too strong. So he's going to attack Fenrir.
You're going to take some nice bit of damage here. And then Paulo, I think before a main phase 2 is allowed, he's going to need to flip up that dimensional barrier.
Yeah, Paulo waiting to activate this barrier, actually making this game, I think, take a little bit longer just because Lucas is having more hope of a chance than he actually potentially has in this game. He does have a defensive card like Book of Moon in the hand, and it looks like Pretty Memory and Purrley.
Yeah, it worked out a little bit in Paulo's case here because the monsters were consolidated into not a Purrley monster,
True.
so the Purrley doesn't really do anything anymore. So realistically, there's only one live card in Lucas's hand at this point, and there's already 2 Kashtira monsters on the field, right? There's not much you can do. As soon as the turn is passed over, Unicorn's going to get a copy of Kashtira Birth, and really, once that card's live,
Yeah, Kashtira Birth is where things get out of hand because not only does it let you like get more Kashtira monsters on your field immediately, that follow up, like every turn you're summoning a banished Kashtira or one from your graveyard, so strong. We even see people playing preparations now for that same kind of added effect. I do want to see preparations versus Kashtira preparations versus Unchained at some point this weekend. I want to see them do the look at your hand effect.
Yeah, whenever you're able to actually do that, that seems a little unreasonable.
I've never seen anyone win the game when that has happened to them.
Worth noting here, if you take a look on the table side here, Michelle was also able to win game 1. So again, Paulo losing that game 1 being a series of unfortunate events for him, not necessarily bad for the team. Like the other players are able to carry here. But it looks like Paulo's doing just fine this game.
Indeed he is. This is a team YCS. So your teammates definitely matter whether they win or lose. And Paulo in good shape here to win game number 2. Lucas is going to need to time this Book of Moon really well to be able to get back into this one.
What do you think needs to happen for Lucas even? Like,
I don't know. I don't think there's anything really. I think Paulo's going to calculate his way to get in there and be able to play around Book of Moon because you can pretty much assume it's going to be one of 3 things. It's either a Purrley quick play, it's a Book of Moon, infinite permanence, and I guess 4th it could be nothing. But chances are you just can, as long as you can play around those single targeted removals, you'll be okay. There's not really like a blowout card I could think of that he could have down that would benefit him in this situation. Something like Needle Sealing might come in handy, but I don't think we're going to be looking at a Needle Sealing yet. Now you guys know throw Needle Sealing in your deck for Kashtira. Just in case things go south. I mean, that was, I guess, in Zodiac format, that was always like the thing. You get barriered. Well, I can set Forbidden Apocrypha, and then I'm going to be able to like fight back into the game.
yeah, but like,
It doesn't really work the same here.
yeah,
It would have to be Needle Sealing. That's the only thing I can think of.
these individual monsters are so strong.
Yep. Especially against individual trapper spells that could disrupt you.
Looks like the Rise Heart's going to be able to banish Scareclaw Kashtira here, which the Unicorn already grabbed a copy of Birth, right?
Yep.
So Birth is able to just summon that monster back.
Yeah, Rise Heart being able to just banish any Kashtira card from the deck. You can use it to basically search your deck for any monster alongside Birth, as you mentioned.
All the monsters going to attack mode except for that Scareclaw Kashtira, which is more beneficial in defense mode.
Can attack while in defense, using its defense as its attack. Just Slacker Magician.
Yeah, this is a true sign of a bit of a decorated, player here.
It's always good to know.
Yeah, always want to check everything at this point. Like, how can you possibly lose? You need to check every variable.
Yeah, and Paulo is definitely one of those kind of players. Very meticulous. He doesn't want to leave anything to chance. He wants to play the hand and the cards he has to like their full like possibilities. He's always kind of been that way with like Sky Strikers and stuff in the past.
Oh, he found Pressure Planet this time. Be able to grab another monster here. He doesn't really have a shortage of Kashtira monsters at this point. What do you even think he wants to grab here? He doesn't.
Just another Kashtira to normal summon, I guess.
Yeah, because now with the Birth, he hasn't used his actual normal summon yet. I believe he special summoned that Rise Heart. So
I would assume so. Does he play Ogre, maybe? Nope, just another Fenrir.
that's good enough most of the time. I wonder, like, if it's not already enough damage, then he might not commit it to the field. But I think at this point, this is a lot of damage.
Yep, and that's going to be enough. He's like, okay, I see where you're going with this. I see your 10,000 points of damage on the field, and
I would say though that because with this field right here, he could have made. Well, I guess maybe he doesn't have. He maybe Big Bang set. That's the only thing that makes sense to me Because it's like if he, or even if Big Bang's set, why wouldn't we just make Shangri-La first with the Unicorn and Fenrir, and then use Rise Heart to trigger Shangri-La, trigger Field Spell, pop the set Book of Moon. I think that was the safest play, and like that's still got to be game, right? I guess if he chains Book on the Rise Heart, then we have Fenrir. Oh wait, he had Lance too. If he has Lance, you 100% do that play to play around Book of Eclipse. That's all I would say. That I think making Shangri-La was correct there first.
But we talked about it going into that game. The side decks is where you can really have that chance to shine. Purrley's biggest kryptonite, the biggest Achilles heel, is going to be that dimension barrier when going first. And then when you go second, you got to worry about things like triple tactics thrust into Herald of the Abyss. That's a big thing a lot of players look to do. Exceeds Encore is my favorite. And then, yeah, just the books can line up pretty well. So Paulo's going to be looking to side that stuff in. But Lucas, this will actually be his first chance to go first in game number 3, which is what Purrley wants to do. I mean, it can play going second pretty well, since all those quick play spells extend monsters onto the field. But going first is definitely where they want to be. I mean, the big thing here is he's not going to have to worry about Paulo going first and setting dimensional barrier right away. He's going to have an opportunity to set his own trap cards. You can even use dimensional barrier against Kashtira, though I can't say I'd recommend it. While it stops them from making a Rise Heart and maybe like Zeus or something like that, but when Kashtira's going second, you got to be worried about them attacking you for game. And so I don't know if I'd like to use that card against Kashtira, even though we did see it in his deck. Maybe he had the crossouts or something because he put it in going second.
I feel like these side patterns are a little questionable. We're setting out the Imprims going first versus like Kashtira. Like that seems pretty weird. Like what if we get stopped? Like we want the Imprim, right? I don't even. Maybe we'd want the Imprim even more than Nib, right? Because what if he just makes a safe play? Like we'd rather just only have to deal with a unicorn than like a unicorn and Fenrir. I could see that coming up.
On your opponent's turn, right? If they're just in your hand, you want to be drawing those kind of interactions that you can activate from the hand. So what do you think Lucas is going to do? Is he going to try to add more of those kind of types of cards to his hand? Which, again, part of the reason Kashtira is so strong is those interactions from the hand aren't very good against them.
Right. Yeah, I think you had it right with the books. Being able, when they stick a monster, like Kashtira 6, something like Unicorn or something on the field, if you're able to like book it face down, just keep a monster on the other side of the field face down. Probably a good strategy to cut them off from being able to extend, because then they're going to need a Kashtira Birth along with another Kashtira monster to summon. Not like out of the realm of possibility, but just putting them on needing to have more cards to get their strategy online is probably the best you can hope for against Kashtira when you're looking at your side deck. I don't know if there's any like going first like blowout cards. I mean, Book of Moon's a pretty big blowout card against them. I mean, if you have trap cards like Destructive Druma, Karma Cannon, they can flip multiple monsters face down. You can let them like extend a little further to where they're like Unicorn into like Theosis to summon, and then you can put 2 monsters face down potentially, or 3 if you want to even wait for the Rise Heart, which might be a little dangerous. But yeah, outside of that, just anything that'll get a monster on their side of the field face down and stick it on the field is probably what you're looking at when you're going first against Kashtira. Definitely don't want anything like Compulse or anything that bounces the monster, returns it from the field to the hand.
You do want to leave like one monster in an attack position, right? Because then you could go for like the happiness play, just really ram them in.
True.
Assuming everything goes well. I think that, it takes a little bit more setup, but I assume, if you do get to go first, that is what you're kind of looking for.
Yeah, it's definitely there's a lot of assuming sometimes when you're like making choices. There's not always a right answer, but if you can get close enough to the right answer, that's usually beneficial. As long as your reasoning is sound, that's probably solid.
All right, that Lucas looks like a handful of engine here. It looks like Purrley as well as at least 3 quick play spells.
All right, gonna start with a normal summon of Purrley.
Paulo's gonna let that one go through.
Misses. No Purrley spell or trap cards.
Paulo's maybe hoping for a disappointing hand from Lucas here like he had in game 1, but there's plenty of engine to go around. That is even delicious memory right there, right?
It is delicious. It's delicious and happy. And it looked like Crossout Designator was the other card in between.
Oh, Lucas feels quite safe then.
If it is, yeah. I couldn't tell.
There's a Sarvis, yeah.
It is. He's Sarvis and Crossout, yeah. I love Crossout Designator. I've always loved it. It's just like one of those cards. It's like whatever is going to be my Achilles heel, I'm going to be able to cross it out. And we see Shifter here from Paulo for the 3rd game in a row. Paulo loves this card.
Master Kashtira duelist here, do you think he has a cross-out target for that? Like, you
That
think
would,
there's a shifter in his
I
deck?
feel like if it hurts you enough, you would, but I don't think shifter hurts Purrley enough to where it would warrant that. But that's brutal, especially. I mean, you said he has that delicious in his hand, but delicious
this
not
play
being
is
anywhere
pretty
near as
weird.
good if there are no cards in the
He's
graveyard.
discarded
You can't go
like
into that plump and just attach two
card
materials.
that's like almost as good as
I
cross-out
mean, you can't even
Designator.
activate the. You'd have to just rank it up into plump
And I
right
probably
now.
would have started with
But this is
White Cat
rough.
effect.
That was a good. This is probably the best dimension
We're
shifter
using
can be
happiness.
against Purrley in this kind of situation. Oh, and he does have the
Ooh.
Ghost
Not
Mourner.
Yugioh.
So since Purrley was
That's,
special summoned, he's be able to.
That's kind of wild. He directly he gets punished immediately by the Mourner by not keeping the ritual card that he plays. The Designator could have hit Ash, so I understand that, but we really needed Sleepy. So we need Sleepy and a quick play. Our hand is 2 cards right now, so it's Designator and a Delicious, I believe. This is like so rough. If we kept the ritual guy, I mean, obviously we would have been better off. I mean, he set out all of his imperms too, I'm pretty sure. We just saw. So it's really interesting keeping the Designator, because Designator also loses to the Ash. Like, you can't do the plump Delicious line, so you need to get Sleepy Memory with Delicious, the Delicious you already have. So you need to get the continuous spell, you need to get Sleepy, and then Designator doesn't protect you from Ash anyway, because if you go, White Cat into Baby Noir, and then you activate Delicious, Ash, chain Ash, you chain Designator, it doesn't do anything because it already misses timing. So I think not keeping the Ritual Monster was a little wild, actually. And then this play, though, is pretty good. I think it's cool because he makes the IP, he sets the Delicious, so this way he can actually get a continuous spell off Black Cat Summon by pitching the Designator, and he can get to the Sky Striker, Azeel or whatever, and pop one of his monsters. So I think this was a pretty good, making the best out of what you have. But having the ritual card would have been so good there with the Moonlight.
No, until he draws the Purrley and it all starts unwinding from there. I don't even know if that would be enough.
That's kind of like maybe
Desires.
I think Lucas in that situation, if he sees that that's like drawing a Purrley is the only way he gets out of the situation, maybe he's trying to hit off Purrley and just takes that chance, right?
Ooh, you can just hold off so you have the 2 cards.
Like,
yeah.
he knows he has to get lucky to get out of the situation to begin with, and already he's looking pretty bad. Paulo has that terraforming, going to be able to get Pressured Planet, which is everything he needs.
And you see at table 1 for this matchup, Victor took game 2 to even out that series, and at table C, Gabriel won game 1. So the Paulo's team here is really close to being able to win the match. If he wins this game and then one of his other teammates wins one more game, they will be moving on to top 8. This is top 16 of our Team YCS in Brazil this weekend.
Yeah, both these teams fighting as hard as they can. Lucas not down and out just yet, but Paulo really showing what a powerful Kashtira hand can do. Opening shifter all 3 games, the first, really didn't show how powerful it is, but as long as you draw some engine, it's truly backbreaking.
And here comes that unicorn. Paulo can probably smell it, but you see him not getting excited. He's focused. He's locked in. He knows if he plays his game, he's going to be helping his team here be moments away from making top 8.
So
we had, out of the top 16 though, you think Kashtira is going to be everywhere, but we had.
Yo, this was so crazy. The 3 hand traps and field spell, that's so good. So yeah, shifter, Mourner, Ash, field spell. That's crazy. That's so hard to beat. So would we probably still lose, I think. Regardless. Yeah, we definitely just lost no matter what, unfortunately. There's just I don't know. We definitely would have been better off, but that's rough. That's a really good, really good opening.
Maybe that's from last game. I'm pretty sure he hasn't taken any damage yet.
Oh, from the Mourner, right? Because the monster left the field?
It left the field. That's right. I forgot about the Mourner. That's funny. It does have that extra effect.
That will make things a little easier.
100 points easier, in fact.
If Paulo has another a Kashtira monster in his hand, Scareclaw Kashtira able to banish it, Birth able to summon it back. That could be all the damage he needs.
Looks like he's going to grab Unicorn on the Fenrir because he has Rise Heart. Yep, and then Rise Heart's going to banish the Scareclaw.
Oh, yeah, I guess Rise Heart just makes it really easy.
Yeah, I just went over it. We lost this game. If he didn't top deck that Ash, there's no way to win this game.
This is definitely going to be game. Taking out the IP, attack with everyone else. Paulo is going to win it for his team, but the team hasn't won yet. One of his other teammates is going to have to win their match for their team to win. I think we're going to be moving on to one of their games, checking in on one of the other games as soon as we do. But what a good match. I mean, Paulo lost that game 1, didn't really get to play a card. We also saw the whole match. I mean, Paulo shifted all 3 games, which is pretty nice to have, but didn't have to use his extra deck. He didn't pick up his extra deck 1 time. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, again, the individual Kashtira monsters are already so strong that sometimes you just don't need to. But also, that's kind of just what happens when you resolve Shifter, right? You don't need to go for a Rise Heart when the Rise Heart's already in play.
Basically, yeah. It doesn't need that extra deck. Just has the Shifter. Pretty cool stuff to see here from Paulo. I mean, having all those defensive options is really what won him that game for him. Just being able, we didn't get to see Purrley get started in any of the games. Really, we didn't really see a Noir. We didn't see any draws from Sleepy. We didn't see a Yeep. Nothing. Being able to just do all his defensive cards. I mean, it just really shows you. I mean, and Purrley's one of the decks that can play through like multiple points of interaction from the hand, but sometimes the dimension shifter really kind of sealing the deal, though.
Yo, look at all the deck boxes and laptops. That's kind of lit. Like, there's no reason for all these deck boxes to be here, right? Because aren't they using different ones? Like, I just saw like a Gem Tech and an Ultra Pro deck box on the stream. But yeah, those laptops, that setup looks lit. Yeah, this stream, it really is lit.
It's really difficult for any other deck to keep up.
Really is. And now we go to the other team. This time it's not on Paulo's team, but Kashtira is on the other side here.
Against the brand new Chimera branded deck. This has been really growing in popularity over the last few weeks. I'm not super sure if it's just because of how much space it has for non-engine as well. That seems to be a common trend of popular decks this format, is just being able to fit in all that space so that you have as many tools as possible to really go against the wide field that is the game right now.
Yeah, definitely one of the advantages to playing that deck. There's also uses the brand new card type Illusion, which is cool. I think we saw him with an Illusion monster in defense mode. Or no, it was the Bephromats, which is a Fiend. But if your Illusion monster's in defense mode and you're not playing against Kashtira, they can't be destroyed by battle. And they can't destroy other monsters in battle as well. But it looks like Victor had his battle phase going to main phase 2. It looks like he took a decent chunk of damage here this game at 2,000. But now he's going to overlay 4. It is still around. That's right. It's a Rise Heart.
Yeah, so that's what a Kashtira extra deck monster looks like. If you guys haven't seen one before, a pretty good one. Oh, this is a really powerful play as well. The Pot of Prosperity after the effect of, or the summon of a Rise Heart, being able to banish from your extra deck and immediately just attaching it to the Rise Heart, going to probably gain some kind of beneficial effect here. Against Chimera, probably maybe Infinitrack Goliath to make it indestructible.
Yep, I would imagine that would be the case. You got a lot of options. You got the Fossil Fusion that'll let you deal with some cards if something happens to Rise Heart, but I think, yeah, the Infinitrack Goliath is the best one to immediately attach. Protects you from stuff like Darkhold and Regeki. Not bad.
All right, we see a few options here. There is a Dimensional Shifter that I imagine you're not touching at this point. There is a card in your graveyard already. An Ash Blossom is always great. I think there's a Tactics in there.
Yep, if Talents is live, it's always good too. We don't know.
Yeah, I was always taking the Ash here. I'm pretty sure. Let's go.
Really good against the Chimera deck. You don't really want to Ash the Branded Fusion, but you can Ash the Bephromats when it tributes to add 2 cards. And that's usually pretty good against the Chimera branded deck.
Yeah, not getting 2 cards versus getting 2 cards, I think that makes a pretty big difference.
Oh, it looks like he's going for Garura instead of Goliath. If things go wrong, he just wants to get more cards. Not bad.
Yeah, I guess, like, how possible is it to summon Guardian Chimera at this point, with Michelle only having, 3 cards total? Maybe it just isn't going to happen.
Nothing on the field, tough, yeah. He's definitely down and behind in this game. Make sure you know all the effects of Rise Heart. It's kind of a crazy card.
Yeah, I don't think you pick up and read a Rise Heart and you're happy about any of it.
Nope. You're like, wait, all these effects are really good. It gets to attach every time a card's banished. Once for chain, not once per turn. I mean, the big effect is the cards have to be banished instead of going to the graveyard.
Yep, Macrocosmos, while he's on the field, he's able to detach 3, go after a card, banish it face down. At least he targets, you know.
At least he targets. Michelle trying to figure out what to do here in this situation. He knows if he finds a way to win this game, his team's going on.
Yeah,
he does have Book of Moon.
I did see him draw that Book of Moon for the turn. This does give him a way to start playing here. That is like
Damn, bro. I know he's upset that that wasn't Eclipse. Because we were always ashing it if it was Eclipse. So, unlucky. With the Book of Moon. I feel like Book of Moon's way less popular than Eclipse now, too. Just because Eclipse is, like, somewhat better.
have made it instructable, but something along the lines of Book, as we mentioned in the previous match, why those kind of cards are so popular is because it's a very simple way of dealing with it. But there is an infinite permanence, going to be able to cut off the Gazelle there, and it's going to be enough. Michelle does not have any.
Okay, yeah, so the 2 interrupts got us there. We didn't even need to use the Ash. The Imprint was just enough with the Rise Heart. Can't get over that, so. Pretty, man, Cash looking good on the stream. I did not think Cash was this good anymore, even though I had like 5 regional tops this last weekend, which was the most. I did not think Cash was actually looking this good. But yo, Shifter, Ash, Valor, all these cards go hard when your guys are just good as hell. Like Unicorn and Fenrir are just insane.
A lot of times it's like, 2 people win immediately.
Mhm.
But we do see like on the finals of the last one where Couch was in the finals. It did go to that last match, I think, or the second match, I guess. And Couch had to like take over from the center console. Are you when you go to 3v3 and play the teams, do you put the strongest player in the center so he can help out as soon as he's finished? Is that the main strategy? It looks like maybe that's what they're trying to do here.
I mean, it depends. When like I'm confident in all 3 of my players, I don't really care who's in the middle. If anything, I would pick the person that plays the fastest to be in the middle,
Yeah,
just
that
so that
makes
if he's going to be done first, then he is able to help someone most of the time.
All right, now let's go ahead and jump into it. We see Gabriel with I would assume is a Noir or a Zeus with a tons of materials. Looks like they all got flipped down by Book of Eclipse, if I had to guess. And there's a Renbrum on the field here from Zhao from the Branded Fusion.
Oh, Nets does not look happy about this. He has a 1 card.
So this is really interesting. I do not know. So obviously what happened was he used Plump and he got Plump to 4. I don't know how this happens without him messing up, because Plump has like he must have been at 4 materials, so he couldn't make Noir. Because he has the 2 additional materials, he probably did that on the draw phase of Joao D's turn. So like that means that he made Baby Noir and Plump. And all he had was Yeep, so he just wanted to get a stacked Plump for his Yeep. It's pretty weird. So I feel like the Chimera player is looking pretty good right now.
Instead of the Bephomet, but maybe we're deep into the game, could be out of those resources already. Fuses for the new Chimera. This card's really strong. At the end phase, he'll be able to send a card from the hand to the graveyard of Gabriel's.
Yep, able to use all 3 effects here.
Bephomet summons back the Mirror Sword Knight.
Oh, it's a Princess Sprite.
My bad, I thought that was Baby Noir. It's actually Princess Sprite.
But
Beauty and Happiness.
yeah.
That's like the Wombo combo. And now it looks...
Okay, so what happened was he hard opened Trap and didn't have and only had 1 starter, I'm pretty sure. Because that's the only way you can make Plump is if you only have Delicious, and then it's like you don't have an additional quick play to play under Plump, or you just don't have enough spells and traps. But it does look like he hard opened Yeep, which is, that kind of sucks.
Right, and then making Guardian Chimeras good enough. You can just Chimera the My Friend Purrley and then the Xyz Monster with all the materials and draw a card. We don't know if he maybe already had his battle phase. I would assume he hasn't. And if he hasn't had his battle phase, it's real. I mean, you can tell by Gabriel's, body language.
Yeah.
He's not feeling good. He's not feeling great right now. Head in the hands. You do that because your head feels so heavy because it's kind of like an emotional thing. Keep that in mind when you're playing. Try and keep your hands off your face, because the more you put your hands on your face, I'm a biggest offender of that. That's something I had to work on. Yeah, this is a man who looks like he was facing defeat in the eyes. But yeah, you always want to try and keep your body. Oh, it is a plump, so you're right. It is quite plump. Lots of materials.
I mean, yeah, you want to remove the Plump, not by battle probably, because, I mean, it does have a good amount of stats if there's a Delicious Memory under it, which it always will have.
Yeah, he just needs that Guardian Chimera. But maybe he can't add back Chimera Fusion. Maybe he's already added it back. Nope.
Yep,
Finally decides to add back Chimera Fusion from the graveyard.
I imagine there was just some communication about like the.
Yo, this is crazy that we're not gonna get over this fluff. Like what? Yo, Chimera is looking wild right now. Not being able to get over this plumpiness, my friend. What? Yo, that's crazy.
Really started
Oh,
here.
he doesn't have a monster in his hand.
Yeah, I guess that'll do it.
Yeah, I was like, he can't make. I was like, why is he not making Guardian Chimera? He can. He needs a monster in the hand. But the plump comes up and he draws a card.
That's pretty good. And now going into the standby phase, like, at least he doesn't get to draw again, right? Because those sleepy memories are only during your opponent's turn. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not both standby phases. That would be insane if you're drawing 12 before your next turn. Yeah, I mean
No.
drawing 6 is good enough. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't draw 12. You draw 9.
I mean, he gets to go directly into a Noir if he wants to.
I mean, Zhao needs to do something before the main phase.
Yeah, I think like Gabe perked up a little bit. You know, like this
I mean,
did not.
I thought it was over.
Yeah.
He was literally one monster away in hand from it being just over.
Imagine getting this much hope just immediately. You get to get 2 additional, like the plump not being removed from the field. You just get so many additional cards from that.
Yeah, this is rough. I wonder. Yeah, he must have already gone through both his best formats. He had that one in hand and one in the deck. Some people play 3. I kind of like playing 3. It does suck to draw sometimes, but you need to have that access because having a monster in your hand is very important, as we're seeing here.
So, what are the interruptions that are present on Draw's field right now? The Rinbrum, like, what does it do again? And usually you see it in the graveyard, but on the field, it's able to
negate.
Yo, I'm so confused. Is homie like scared of a solemn strike? Like, so he's just not being risky making this Noir right now, because obviously he could have used Plump to get that dude's brain infusion in his graveyard and his happy memory. So that's interesting. But I mean, when you know you win, you know you win. So I'm assuming he knows he's going to win making this play.
It's 2100, so it's at 33, right? I think 1200 base stat, something like that.
big enough. At the
It's
very
big,
least.
yeah.
Now Gabriel just needs to be very efficient as to how he removes all these bodies. Again, you can't really destroy any illusion monster by battle. They are all protected by their own effects.
It's just an illusion. They're not really here. They can't destroy monsters by battle, and they can't be struck down either. And now my friend Purrley, pay 500. He's gonna reveal Sleepy. Looks like he's thinking about another option from Sleepy. It's pretty. Sleepy, pretty, and Sleepy.
Yeah, I imagine there is a Sleepy under that Noir right now, so he's not able to just get all 3. But any of those.
These are 2 removal cards. So obviously Sleepy, if we summon Purrley Noir, we can bounce 2 cards. I know the 1 protects it from targeting though. And if we get Beauty, we can send 1 card to the grave and take one of his as a material.
2 out of 3.
Gonna give up that Droll he drew for turn.
I don't know how you're seeing what he draws for turn. I didn't see it even. No, he just summons the Purrley. Effect to add.
At this point, I wonder what he's going to go for. Is he going to go for Street, or is he going to go for maybe he wants to grab like a regular Purrley at this point, a normal summon?
That would make sense.
Yo, time's ticking though. That's one thing that's definitely gonna see some less optimal plays, I think, with 4 minutes on the clock and even life points.
Yep, we're just going to go ahead and grab Purrley here.
Where's the Monodium Purrley?
Maybe that's why I
Where's
made
the
the Noir
Monodium
right away.
Purrley decks?
I think that's why.
It's sitting at home, Billy, where it belongs.
Because we just took 500 too. So
Waiting for me
this
to
Noir's
drop
got to
him
get
with
some
it.
damage.
Purrley
in.
getting summon now.
Going to be able to attempt to hit here. Miss. Ah, there we go. Good enough. That is the other Sleepy.
Nope.
Looks
Thinking about
like-
my friend.
Yeah, might as well just take my friend here. I think it's going to end up being a discarded, I think, is kind of what...
I think not taking
Attempting?
Sleepy there's kind of wild.
Because I can't imagine he wants another my friend, the card that doesn't do anything.
So he can go into Purrley Noir, and that is actually good at breaking boards. Because Purrley Noir also has that bonus effect. I mean, the effect you do on your own turn is kind of like what feels like the hidden effect, as people like to call it. It's able to return your opponent's cards, not a quick effect, but during your turn, when you have Sleepy Memory underneath it.
Yeah, like it's discard 1 to hit up to 2 back to the hand.
If it has Sleepy, it goes from 1 to 2, yeah. That Noir is sleepy. We have both the Noirs. We got the E Purrley and X Purrley Noir on the field at the same time. So cool.
Don't underestimate these cats.
The quarter century secret rare of E Purrley Noir, one of my favorites from Duelist Nexus for sure. This isn't it, but if you haven't seen it, you should. It's very pretty. The gold lettering on the Xyz monsters, I really like. And since he does have that sleepy memory, he's going to be able to target 2. And that
Only
does
works on the
target.
field.
And
Let's
Mirror
go.
Sword Knight will be able to banish itself to negate an effect that targets, since he
Could've
did
used
target the
Noir
illusion
first.
monster.
We
Yeah,
wanted.
you know, those cards are
Plus
just
one
so
value
strong for
trait.
randomly having those additional effects, right? Like the Mirror Sword Knight as well as the Cornfield, both just having some form of just random protection.
Yeah, the Cornfield Coatl is what's it, like a monster effect, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, that one's really nice. I mean, they both can come up. I mean, because you have to play the cards anyway, and you're gonna end up putting them in your graveyard, so you just get these bonuses, which are really nice.
Gabriel looks so nervous. I definitely.
Now, he
feel
doesn't
it
have straight
through the
Purrley Street, so
screen.
he could use Renbrum on the Noir also, but he went to negate it with the Mirror Sword Knight instead. Maybe he was thinking he couldn't target it but there's no straight Purrley Street. Who knows? It looks like Gabriel's considering the battle phase.
Yeah, it looks like he's declaring an attack on the Rinbrum here. He's gonna be
Yo,
able to counter
how
just
many
big it
minutes?
is at this point.
Is this more than 500? All right.
Even one.
Let's
I
attack.
assume he does not want to go for Zeus.
Well, we probably
I
make
have a
Zeus over
Noir
the
with this many
Purrley Noir,
materials.
correct?
It's tough because Zeus is so much stronger. He's supposed to be facing down 3 face downs. Yeah, I would think you could go for Zeus on the other Noir and just have a Zeus and X Purrley Noir, so you could shuffle back, shuffle back, shuffle back, shuffle back, and then if anything goes
eventually,
wrong,
yeah.
Zeus. It could also be why he grabbed the. Oh, he discarded the My Friend, I think, actually. I was thinking, like, maybe he was thinking, like, once I'll have to Zeus, then I'll have My Friend as follow up if anything goes wrong. A lot of the times when you're playing Yugioh now, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this.
I believe he just got a slow play warning. I don't know why the judge would talk to him in that moment. That's kind of weird. It was only like 20 seconds worth, too. Oh, so he did use so he did have a pretty memory under that, and then he took his guy. Woo woo. No monsters. 3 sets. We have 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 materials on the Noir. It's a lot. That is 4 cards. And one of them can't be interrupted at all.
Hal's goal right now is survive and then figure it out later.
Yeah, how quickly the
I mean,
tables have turned here.
those 3 face downs, I mean, he just needs a card that deals with Noir, right? A Herald of the Abyss could be huge here. But, I mean, he's going to be able to, this Noir can chain and clear the field. Exceeds Encore, however, it's just ridiculous. I guess you can't do it right now, but eventually.
I mean, the thing about
I
Xyz
don't
Encore,
know.
right?
Yeah,
is
this is weird.
you
Encore
have
would
to
be
end
crazy.
the game that turn. 'cause
Also,
there's so
Super
many
Poly
cards
would
that he
be
gets off
probably
that.
They
crazy
get the
if
My
I was
Friend
set.
cards and the
Deck is
monsters
like a
on the
deck that
field,
plays
yeah.
Super Poly, so.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Gabriel able to pull it back. Joe only needing one more monster in his hand to be able to completely take over that game. Not enough, though. Don't have that monster. Gabriel able to take it for Team Fala Galera. What an upset.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty lit. Well, on to top 8. Stay tuned.